There's this misconception floating around that being pro-gun automatically means you're a gun person. Now, the two can overlap, but they aren't necessarily the same. You can be pro-gun without knowing the ins and outs of a firearm, or the overarching conversation about gun control and the Second Amendment in this country. Take Donald Trump, for instance. It's pretty clear to me he doesn't know a ton about firearms, and I can tell this based on how he speaks about them. He also doesn't seem to entirely grasp the depth of the pro-2A conversation either. But then again, Trump has this way of speaking that's so plain, direct, and blunt that it's hard to tell if he really gets it or he's just winging it. I think Trump is more of a conceptual supporter of the Second Amendment. He backs the Second Amendment in its theory, but when you look at how he talks about it, you can tell he's not knee deep in the details. This sometimes leads people to think Trump isn't as pro-gun as he claims to be. Now, you could argue that he's only pro-gun because he's running as a conservative and that his base demands it, but honestly, the effects are the same. That's the whole point of a representative government, right? If he knows he'll lose support by not backing the Second Amendment, that's a win for us. So, all things considered, here are 5 reasons why I believe Donald Trump was and will again be a pro-gun president if he becomes a president again. The Bumpstock Ban. Anytime the topic of Trump being pro-gun comes up, someone inevitably mentions the Bumpstock Ban, and rightfully so. I mean, he's the one who banned them, or at least directed the ATF to do so. When Trump did that, even I was like, what the hell are you doing? Why would you do that? But let's put things into perspective. The Bumpstock Ban discussion arose after the tragic mass shooting in Vegas. Emotions were sky high, and people were desperate for action. The Democrats were ready to pass anything they could push from their gun control agenda sheet.
You have to say that there is no reason to make a semi-automatic assault weapon into a fully automatic battlefield weapon. There is no better way to honor the 59 people who were slaughtered than to take action to prevent this from happening yet again.
Thoughts and prayers are not enough. Mr. President, in visiting Las Vegas today, I hope you will provide leadership and at the very least back a bill that stops the killer accelerators like these bump stocks.
And Trump, not being well versed in the gun debate, probably looked at the bump stock as just a piece of plastic. In his mind, it was a harmless compromise, something that could show he was reasonable without giving up a real gun. But here's the thing, Trump didn't understand that there's no compromising with these people. They don't play fair. They say they want reasonable gun laws, but it's bullshit. They want to ban everything. Trump, being an outsider on the gun conversation, didn't get that at first. He thought, I'll compromise on this piece of plastic and maybe they'll back off. But they don't ever back off. They get what they want and then keep pushing for more gun control. I don't agree with his decision, and I didn't then, but I can see why he made it, kind of. Some might argue that he knew the Bumpstock ban wouldn't hold up in court, that he was playing some kind of 3D chess, and sure enough, the ban didn't hold up. Now the bump stocks are back, and the court overturned the ban. Was Trump playing the long game? Or was he just too green to realize he was stepping into a mess? I can't say for sure, but from my perspective, he either underestimated the anti-gun crowd or thought it was a harmless sacrifice. Take the guns, then due process. This one still blows my mind. On its face, it's the most anti-gun thing Trump has ever said.
If an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others, allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession of that individual.
Or might take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early.
Wait, what?
Trump never really formally walked that statement back, but after the backlash, he definitely shifted his tone. He started emphasizing his support for the Second Amendment and talking about mental health instead of confiscating guns without due process. Now, when Trump said that, I think he meant it, but not from a place of malice. Like I said, Trump is not a gun guy. In his mind, if someone's proven to be a danger, then sure, take their guns. but he didn't fully grasp the implications of his words. Again, he speaks very plainly and broadly, so it can be hard to tell exactly what he means sometimes. Even though he never outright retracted the statement, he did start aligning more with the pro-gun community afterwards. I think the NRA got in his ear and said, "This isn't a good look, bro." And from then on, he walked it back. Not officially, but through his actions and through his words. Now, for the pro-gun laws he passed or supported and anti-gun laws he rolled back. He repealed the Social Security Administration rule. You see, in 2017, Trump repealed an Obama-era rule that would have allowed the Social Security office to submit names of beneficiaries with non-violent mental health conditions to the next check system. This was a win because the rule essentially targeted people unfairly without giving them any due process. Then there's the guidance on 3D printed guns. Trump's administration settled a case that allowed a company to publish blueprints for 3D printed guns online. This sparked debate over untraceable firearms, but it was seen by a lot of us as a step towards expanding gun rights. He also supported national reciprocity. Trump supported national concealed carry reciprocity, which would allow a permit from one state to be recognized in another. It didn't pass, but he vocally supported it. And he took us out of the Arms Trade Treaty. You see, in 2019, Trump pulled the US out of the UN Arms Trade Treaty, which essentially protected American gun rights from international regulation. Now, for the fourth reason, his judge appointments. To me, this is Trump's greatest contribution to the Second Amendment. He appointed over 200 federal judges, including 3 Supreme Court justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, all of whom are generally supportive of the Second Amendment. It's because of these appointments that we have the Bruen decision today. The Bruen decision is single-handedly responsible for allowing people in anti-gun states to conceal carry like never before. Trump's judge appointments have been a game changer for gun rights, and if he's elected again, I'm confident he'll continue to appoint judges who respect the Second Amendment, because every judge he has appointed up until this point has done that. And lastly, he's advocated for AR-15s after an assassination attempt on his life.
No, I didn't. Look, if you take away guns, she wants to take away everyone's gun. If you take away guns, can't do it, because people need the guns for protection. Now, entertainment, they want it, hunting, they want, different things, but they need weapons for protection in this country. People live out in the woods and they're not going to have a gun. If you look at some countries, I don't want to get them in trouble, but some countries have actually gone the opposite way. They had very strong gun laws, and now they have gone the opposite way, where they allowed people to have guns, where in one case they encouraged people to go out and get guns, and crime is down 29%. And remember this, what is the toughest gun law in the United States? Chicago. On July 4th, 117 people were shot and 17 died. The toughest gun laws in the United States are in the city of Chicago. You know that. They had 117 people shot. Afghanistan does not have that.
Trump was literally shot at by a citizen with an AR-15, yet he still advocates for the right of Americans to own AR-15s. That is a bold stance, considering. And it shows a level of commitment to gun rights that we haven't seen from any other candidate, whether he's doing it for votes or not. The fact remains, he's the only presidential candidate advocating for the AR-15 right now. Joe Biden isn't doing it. Kamala Harris sure isn't doing it. Trump, despite an assassination attempt with an AR-15 on his life, still stands by it. That is significant as hell. At the end of the day, Trump might be what some would call a FUD. Not in a traditional sense, but in the way that he's not a gun guy. I think his initial approach to gun ownership was like that of a moderate, someone who thought they could find a middle ground. But over time, he's learned that there's no compromising with the anti-gun crowd. Now, I believe Trump is more pro-2A than ever before. He's seen how even the smallest concession can lead to a slippery slope on gun control. And if he's reelected, I think we'll see a Trump who's more committed to the Second Amendment than in his first term. And as a result, I'd still rather risk all my 2A rights under Trump than under someone like Kamala Harris and that weirdo guy named Tim Walz or whatever his name is. But I will say this, at some point, Trump, you gotta go ahead and just convert. Just come over to the fun side. Become an ammosexual. If you want, I'll send you a hat and some shirts. But for those of you out there who are looking to express your inner homosexual, head over to the link in the description section of the video where you can get your homosexual hat. We have them in shirts, we have them in drinkware, and yeah, go ahead and check those out and grab some homosexual pride merch today. Politicians and tech giants don't want gun content to be recommended to you, and we're all fighting this culture war together. Now, you can help do your part by liking, commenting, subscribing to the channel, but most importantly, sharing this video with at least one person. Together, we can stop the suppression of our 2A rights. And don't forget to click the link in the description section of this video for the products that I mentioned in this video.